Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Scarbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. We're going to look at the astrology of the first 10 days of October. So from October 1st to October 10th, 2021. And I'm breaking this up because there's actually so much going on and so much to talk about that to put it all in one video would be completely overwhelming for both of us. So let's take a look here. All right, so we're going to start where we kind of left off in the last one. Let me just make this a slideshow. And from the current slide. Okay, so this is where we left off with the numerology and Kabbalah. And just to repeat, we have a new moon at 14 degrees of Libra. We have a full moon at 28 degrees of Aries. We have 4 planetary stations, Pluto stationing direct on the 6th, Saturn stationing direct on the 10th, Jupiter stations direct on the 18th, and Mercury also stations direct on the 18th. So things are really going to start to move forward. Not without challenges, of course, but definitely things are going to start to move forward. We're going to finally feel like we're going in the right direction, or going in a direction which somewhat feels like the right direction. And then we have 3 planetary ingresses, Venus moving into Sag, the Sun moving into Scorpio on the 23rd, and then, of course, Mars ingressing into Scorpio on the 30th, of which we'll have to say Mars is thrilled about, but we're not so sure how we're going to feel about it. Okay, so let's continue here. So we're going to start with October 1st. October 1st, 2021. We have an opposition between Chiron and Mars. It is at 11 degrees of Libra and Eris. The interesting thing about this, that this is happening on this day, is that, of course, the 16-7 vibration in the tarot, which is the Tower card, is associated with the planet Mars and is located in the solar plexus energetically. So you may feel this energetically. Of course, Mars oppositions of any kind are points of awareness. It doesn't necessarily mean we have to act on it, although with Mars being part of the picture, that is going to be what we want to do. However, Mars is in Libra. And of course, Chiron is in Aries. Chiron has been in Aries now for I want to say 3 years. And we are dealing with the wounds of the masculine. We are dealing with the wounds around identity. We are dealing with the wounds around life and death. We are dealing with the wounds around an inability to stand up for yourself. We're dealing with the wounds of too much of an ability to stand up for yourself, too much fighting and not enough talking, right? But this is about what we need to do to heal it. Ultimately, Chiron is about healing. And to a certain extent with Chiron, you have to sort of do a little bit of hair of the dog thing, where like will heal like. It kind of works like homeopathy in that respect. This is a fruition of a cycle that began when Mars and Chiron conjoined on July 14th of last year, 2020. That was a 25-7 vibration. At 10 degrees of Aries. So we looked at 10 degrees of Aries to see what the initial impulse to this conjunction was. And it says a teacher gives new symbolic forms to traditional images. Revision of attitude at the beginning of a new cycle of experience. A new dimension of consciousness is discovered, revealing higher possibilities of experience and mental development. This is a phase of abstraction and emotional allegiance. So this symbol, which was stimulated back in 2020, talks about a new cycle of experience and a new dimension of consciousness. We are becoming more and more conscious, and with that consciousness comes the responsibility of being more conscious and the power to change things through our consciousness. So this opposition, this point of awareness in the cycle, is occurring at 11 degrees of Libra and Aries. So only a degree away from the initial conjunction, right? So the Sabian symbol for Mars, this is the Mars energy at 11 degrees of Libra. A professor peering over his glasses at his students. Problems attending the transmission of knowledge in a special cultural setup. Now, this might not make any sense to you. So what I did is I added the whole little piece that Dane Rudger spoke here, and see if we can elucidate a little bit more. I think you will. It says the symbol thus simply reveals two aspects of the condition of professorship. That is, of being able to transfer to the young generation the vast sum of knowledge accumulated by the past. So learning from the past. Remember, in the tree of life, the parts of the tree that were activated, well, all the past, the pillar of the past, the pillar of the present, and the pillar of the future were all activated this month. But there's a lot of energy in that pillar of the past, and that's really about bringing information from the past to the present so that we can make good decisions, right? The need to absorb this enormous amount of book knowledge affects the mind as well as the eyes. In order to meet the demands of the turbulent youth, the teacher, in a sense, must look above this knowledge to see his students simply as human beings. And so there's a need to know the past, but there's also a real need to see what we are doing in the present moment. Chiron and Eris. Eris is all about the present moment, all about the present moment. It deals at the intellectual level with the teaching of accumulated collective knowledge and the problem posed by the acquisition of that knowledge. This is what instruction means, a process not to be confused with education. So this is sort of doing your best to take the information that you have, make it known, apply it as needed, but still be open to something new and something different. This symbol is opposing the Sabian symbol for Chiron at 11 degrees of Aries, which is the ruler of a nation. So it says the power resulting from the format integration of the collective desire for order. It indicates centralization of power at the level of rigidly structured consciousness. So this is an opposition between the forces of knowledge and an openness to the future with the collective desire for order. It is a tension. Nobody really wants to live in this amount of chaos. We also have to make sure that all of this chaos is for naught, right? So we need to be open to the messages coming through this chaos. If we don't get them, it will continue in earnest. And here we have the two charts. Here we have the conjunction. Now, this is a chart for Washington, D.C. So apologies to anybody else watching from any place else. And we have Chiron and Mars here conjuncting at 10 degrees. And it was in the 10th house. It was in the 10th house. And so this is really about, this is very evident. So when things happen in the 10th house, you really see them. Whereas the opposition is actually not in the 10th house, but, and this is also for Washington, D.C., the opposition is in the 12th and the 6th house, which is the house associated with healing. Okay, so there needs to be a healing based on this awareness. We can see that the Sun and Mars are very close together. In fact, in a few days, the Sun is going to come and conjoin Mars because the Sun moves faster than Mars does. Mars takes 2 years for a full orbit, where of course the Sun is a year orbit, right? Where everything is based on the orbit of this. The year is based on Earth going around the Sun, right? Okay. And here we have Chiron over here in this house. we do have a sextile to Saturn, sextiling this Chiron, trining this Mars. We also have a trine to, what is it here? It's not quite the north node, Ceres. So we have a grand trine between Mars and Ceres, Mars and the Sun actually, Ceres and Saturn. Ceres in Gemini, reaping what you sow, communication, but also this can be disease and death because not to say that, you know, there's going to be more disease and death. It's just we're in the middle of this. We're in the middle of a pandemic. There's a lot of disease and death out there. But this deals with the lungs. Mercury rules the lungs and your ability to breathe. So we can see an issue here as well. And then let's see, we have the moon in a trine to Chiron, and we have it in a sextile to Mars and the Sun. And so do we have, let's see. I'm just looking to see if we have, we actually have a grand, if you widen it, we have a grand trine to the South Node and Chiron and the moon. And so the trine of the South Node to Chiron, you know, bringing the wounds of the past forward to be healed, Okay. We also have on Friday, Mercury making a last quarter square to Pluto. This is the second of 3, okay? We had the first one in September while Mercury was still direct. And now we have one, well, Mercury is retrograde. This is a crisis in consciousness. This square between Pluto and Mercury is in orb for a long time and is pretty powerful. Of course, Mercury is our ability to communicate. Pluto is the power structure, and the square itself is revolutionary. So this is talking truth to power, folks. Talking truth to power. Now, we may not initially be heard, but once we have the third one of these squares, we know that we will certainly be heard and things will change. This is rethinking or reconsidering our ability to express ourselves, Mercury, as it comes under the stress from authority. This is an energy of reorientation, and we can see here, here's Pluto here in the second house. It's pretty close to the Pluto of the United States, right? Now, remember when Pluto goes direct, which I shouldn't talk about now, I should talk about when I get to the 6th, it's gonna then move into the Pluto return. There's like no going back. We're gonna hit that first Pluto return in February here in the United States. And there's a lot of things going on at this degree at the end of the year, a lot of stuff that I'm not gonna talk about now, but we will look to in the future. Very important. We can see here that we have the square to Eris. It's very, very tight. That's also becoming exact. And Mercury here, right? So we have Mercury, Eris, and Pluto. Guys, this is powerful stuff. This is powerful stuff. We will have our voice heard. Do not worry about that. All these people who are trying to like keep it back and the way it used to be and it's got to be, let me tell you guys, the progressives have it, and if they hold strong, they could really shift things in the United States. They could really shift things in the United States. So we'll see. On Saturday the 2nd, this is a 17-8 vibration, the star card. We have Venus making a waning sextile to Pluto. This is an opportunity for our values to be transformed. This sextile, 300-degree sextile, has the energy of Aquarius. So it's about the common good. It's about raising all boats. It's about changing our values and changing the structures of power based on our new set of values. The old ways do not work. It's not just the left that knows that, it's the right as well. They just express it in a different way. We cannot continue the way we have continued previously. It's a new world, and we have to start acting like it. Do we move on in a more progressive direction? What do we know? How are we going to share our knowledge? This is an Aquarius sextile. This cycle began back January 28th, 2021, when these two planets came together at 26 degrees of Capricorn. Sunday, October 3rd, an 18-9 vibration. That's the moon card in the tarot. We have Jupiter making a waning trine to Mercury. This Jupiter-Mercury trine is in a disseminating phase. Disseminating phase means to share your knowledge. It means to have social rewards. It means to learn from one another and share with others who've had experiences and coming up with a philosophy that works in order to restructure society. This is extremely important because we're dealing with the rulers of the North and the South nodes. So these are the rulers of the nodes of the moon, which is our conscious evolution, our conscious emotional evolution. So what are we learning? What are we releasing? What are we sharing? This is actually the second of three. This one, Mercury is retrograde. The first one occurred on 9/20. That was the day of a very powerful full moon in Pisces. Remember that full moon in Pisces within the last degrees of Pisces and Virgo, which brought forth all of the past and how we look at the past and how we have felt victimized or defined ourselves by the past, to let go, to have the awareness to release. The full moon is about releasing. And then the third trine is going to occur on 11/1, which is a 17/8 vibration, which is the star card. So that's kind of neat. This first trine occurred on a 34/7 vibration, which is the 8 of Wands. All the information coming, everything coming at you, right? All the wands, all the feelings. Okay, Monday, October 4th, we have the moon in Virgo. Tuesday, October 5th, which is a 20/2 vibration. That is the judgment card, the awakening, Gabriel blowing his horn. We have Mercury making a waning in conjunct to Neptune. This is a need for emotional adjustments around our idealistic ideas and ideals. The problem with any time we're dealing with Neptune, especially around Mercury, because Mercury is a planet that is associated with seeing things clearly, we have a challenge. But Mercury is retrograde, which I think helps a little at this point, because Mercury retrograde makes us look more into the inner realms, and Neptune loves the inner realms. As somebody with the Pisces moon, I can testify. We love those inner realms. The need for emotional adjustment around our idealistic ideas. I said that, difficulty seeing clearly. This is the second of three exact inconjuncts, again, because Mercury is retrograde. The first one occurred on 9/18, and the last one will occur at the end of the month on 10/30. We can see that this is sort of aligned with the last aspect to, let's go back because we can look here. The trine, right? So Jupiter trining Mercury. First one happened 2 days, on the last, the inconjunct, right, was the 18th, the trine is the 20th, the inconjunct is the 30th, the trine is the 1st. So those things are happening simultaneous to each other. So there's still we still need to not forget in this whole picture of the future and the past and Mercury and reason and Saturn, and Sagittarius and our beliefs from the past and having to let go of old beliefs. We have to save room for the mystical, magical Neptune, because it's going to require us to make adjustments. even if we can't see what we're doing. Okay. All right. Wednesday, October 6th, we have Mars in conjunct Uranus. This is challenging, right? Mars is about action, and Uranus is sudden out of nowhere, something. Taking action on revolutionary ideas, emotional adjustments needed. So both sides of the revolutionary, whatever revolution you're a part of, there is going to be something unexpected that requires you to change course on some level. We need to practice non-attachment, because sometimes we think we're in charge, but quite frankly, we're not. And sometimes there is a higher purpose and a higher perspective, Uranus, that we are not aware of, that comes in suddenly and requires some course correction. And I believe that's what this is going to be about. So expect some course correction around the 6th. Of course, the 6th is also the day that Pluto stations direct at 25 degrees of Capricorn. 25 degrees of Capricorn, a store filled with precious Oriental rugs. We've talked about this symbol many, many times. The use of cultural and artistic processes as a means to enhance personal comfort and appreciation. The shifting of the transpersonal signs often come out as sudden shifts or events within society. So we can expect, with Mars in conjunct Uranus, unexpected things, Pluto changing direction, unexpected things, and of course, the new moon at the same time. So it may very well be that something unexpected occurs that changes just the whole course of things. So we don't know, we'll have to see, but don't be surprised when you see it, although we'll be surprised when you see it. I'll be surprised, because you never know what this is going to be. That's the wild card. It's Uranus. Welcome to the world of Uranus. So we have this new moon at 14 degrees of Libra, and we can see here the new moon at 14 degrees of Libra right here. Hold on. Right here. Notice how close Mars is. I mean, within minutes, like 34 minutes. Is it 34? Yeah, 34 minutes. That's half a degree. That's not, that's really close. We also have this new moon trining Saturn and trining Ceres. Okay. Here's Mars, the new moon in conjunct. Where's Uranus? Where'd you go, Uranus? I know you're here because you're in conjuncting everything up here. Actually, sorry, my picture is on top of it. You can't see that, but I can. So here we go. There's that in conjunct. See how dark that line is? That means it is exact. Okay. Here's the trine between that we just had on the 3rd. Here's the trine between Mercury and Jupiter. And of course, lest we forget, the T-square between Mercury, which is starting to move out of that T-square a little bit, but not too far out. Pluto here and Eris over here. So Mercury is starting to back away from this exact square, but it's still very much there. It's still very much there. Says the Sabian symbol for 14 degrees of Libra is, in the heat of the noon hour, a man takes a siesta. I think I like this symbol. Says the need for recuperation within the societal patterns of everyday activity. The key word, relaxation. I don't know about you, but I think with Mars here conjunct this new moon, in conjunct Uranus, with this giant T-square, it's going to be a little harder to relax than other days, but do your best. Do your best. On Thursday, October 27th, which incidentally is a 22-4 vibration, that is the Fool card, so that's new. It's new. We have Venus ingressing into Sagittarius. The Sabian symbol for Venus in 1 degree of Sagittarius is a retired Army veterans gather to reawaken old memories, the will to reaffirm the values of the struggle upon which civilization and group achievements are founded. So you have a little bit of an energy of looking to the past here. Jupiter, which is the ruler of Sagittarius, is at 23 degrees of Aquarius. The Sabian symbol for 23 degrees of Aquarius is a man having overcome his passions teach deep wisdom in terms of his experience. The constructive use to which difficult past experiences can be put as an example for those who are still striving to overcome their passions. So it's interesting because we're looking at the initial symbol here is about retired Army veterans getting back, maybe telling each other war stories, but it's disposited by Jupiter in Aquarius, and it talks about somebody learning from those experiences and overcoming the need to beat people in the head, quite frankly, right? Or to go after the enemy. Who is the enemy? It's a rethinking of this. We're all in this together, guys. And if climate change hasn't taught us that, it's going to teach us that pretty quickly. Wait till 2022 when Neptune and Jupiter are in Pisces. Friday, October 8th at 23.5 vibration, that is the King of Wands. We have the Sun conjunct Mars at 16 degrees of Libra. Every 2 years, the Sun comes together and conjuncts Mars. And that is an illumination of the actions we need to take. Last time that occurred, it occurred in Virgo. I believe it was 10 degrees of Virgo. I'm going to read that to you only because the new moon 2 days prior to this was conjunct Mars, but Mars was still holding the energy of the last Mars-Sun conjunction. It was in its balsamic phase. So let me see. It says, two heads looking out beyond the shadows. This is 10 degrees of Virgo. The growth of true understanding born out of the transcendence of duality, even while immersed in the world of duality. That's really the energy of that new moon. And now we come into a new relationship between Mars and the Sun. And that is at 16 degrees of Libra. So let's read 16 degrees of Libra and see what that says. See what the next thing is we're here to learn from Mars and the Sun. Oh, it's right in front of me. Sorry. After a storm, a boat landing stands in need of reconstruction. Build back better, folks. The need to keep in operation steady links between the vast unconscious and the ego consciousness. Both the Sun and Mars are disposited by Venus at 1 degree of Sagittarius, and that is the retired Army veterans gathering to reawaken old memories. It is time to get over our differences and start to build something based on our knowledge, our appreciation for what has come before, but a vision of what we need to do now and what is possible. And here's the chart. This is for Washington. So this is the US again. And here we have it in that fourth house. It's sitting in the fourth house here with Mercury very close, because now Mercury is going to be making a conjunction to the Sun soon, and a conjunction to Mars as well. But all in the fourth house. The fourth house is the land and the people. The land and the people. The moon in Scorpio. Conjunct Vesta, the moon in a chart like this is a mundane chart, are the people. The people want focus on transformation and change. We want it to be different. We want it to be different. Visualize what you want to see, not what you don't. And of course, Venus here in 1 degree of Sag disposits all of these planets in Libra. and disposites Uranus here in Taurus. Disposit means holds the energy of a little bit. I mean, that's kind of a thing. Saturday, October 9th, 2021, a 24/6 vibration. This is the Queen of Wands. We have the Sun conjunct Mercury at 17 degrees of Libra. This is the highlight of that Mercury retrograde cycle. Remember, the path on the tree of life, the 15/6 path, connects Mercury, which is the Sephiroth of Hod, with the Sun, which is Tiphareth, the Sephiroth of the Sun. So this becomes very important. And it is the highlight of the Mercury retrograde cycle. It is when Mercury is closest to the Earth, and it is when we are most psychically aware. A retired sea captain watches ships entering and leaving the harbor. We have all these sort of symbols of veterans and sea captains and people who have experienced life. They're in the second and the last, in some cases, the last part of their life, trying to inform the youth of what they know, the capacity to gain an objective and calm understanding of human experiences in which one was deeply involved. The key word is the calm mind beyond struggles and victories. So it's about keep calm and carry on. I hate to say it, but it's kind of about that. And here is the here's the chart, and here we have Mercury. Oh goodness gracious, Mercury and the Sun, and of course, oh, here's Mars. Sun just moving off that Mars. So this is huge. And actually, this sits right on AOC's chart, on her Sun, her Mercury, and I believe she has Sun, Mercury, Mars as well. And when's her birthday? Her birthday is the 15th, I think. October 15th. I'll have to check. We'll have to do a I want to do for you guys a solar return for her and a solar return for Kamala Harris. I just have to find out where she might be on her birthday. Okay, so let's take a look here. Okay, so let's look at the Eris Pluto synodic cycle. Because I've been talking about Eris, right? Eris square Pluto, revolution, revolution, revolution. So the synodic cycle between Eris and Pluto began in 1756. The year vibration of 1756 was a 19-1 vibration. So let me just read something to you here about the 19-1 vibration. Any of you born in a year that vibrates to 19-1, this would apply to you as well. So you can check that out. I know 1954 was a 19-1, 1945 was a 19-1, 1963, 1972, 1981, 1990, and I don't know, maybe, I think that's it as far as I can do math in my head. So it says destiny. This is a karmic number wherever found in a chart is referred to as a destiny number. The destiny means it relates to the experience that you have chosen on your path you cannot avoid. So this Eris Pluto cycle started in a year when it was a year of destiny. Now, it occurred at 19 degrees of Sagittarius, and it only occurred once. It actually occurred on December 15th, 1756, excuse me, which vibrates to a 46-1, which, may I remind you that Joe Biden is our 46th president. And it occurred at 19 degrees of Sagittarius. Now, check this out. One thing I want to point out to you guys is that the Sabian symbols were developed in I think the 1900s, the early 1900s, and then books were written about it. And Dane Rudger's book came out, I think, in the 80s. But the symbols themselves were done by Mark Edmund Jones and Ellie Weasel or Wheeler. Weasel or Wheeler, I can't remember. She was the psychic. So check this out. This is freaky, freaky deaky. Pelicans menaced by the behavior and refuse of men seek safer areas to bring up their young. 1756, guys. The need for people concerned with the future to discover a new way of living in a more wholesome surroundings. You can't make this shit up. Can't make this stuff up. The evident reason for using pelicans at this stage of the cyclical process is that tradition tells us that these birds are so concerned with their young that they give their own blood and flesh to feed their progeny. Whether this is fact or symbol, the meaning of this picture refers to a situation that lately has acquired great urgency. Our technological society is polluting not only our global environment, but the mind and feeling responses of a new generation as well. The search for a new way of life is seen by many people to be imperative. We are told that the race's survival has become a matter of extreme importance. Whole animal species may be destroyed by our civilization. Mankind itself is in danger. Going to distant planets is hardly the answer. What did I say in one of my videos recently? You want to go, Bezos, to Mars? Go. Must go. The other guy I kind of wish he wouldn't go to Mars. But anyway, go ahead. We don't need you guys. We're going to stay here and fix it. A generation may have to sacrifice itself for the sake of its descendants. I just heard Greta Thunberg talk, and she is not taking any shit, that girl, and nor should she. So here we have the initial conjunction at 19 degrees of 19 degrees of Sagittarius. Now I did it for Wareham only because I needed to put it in a place. In 1756, I was going to say Wareham didn't exist, but it might have actually. That might have been the year where it actually became incorporated. I'll have to check that. Well, Wareham was here, just the picture of the place I picked. But just to kind of look at what was going on here, we had Pluto and Eris at 19 degrees. We had the sun and Mars at 25 degrees. I didn't actually look at the Sabian symbol for that. And then, of course, Jupiter is the ruler of Aquarius. Where was Jupiter? 11 degrees of Scorpio. That's interesting. Now I have to look because I can't help myself. Let's look at what's dispositing all of this Sagittarius energy. 11 degrees, Jupiter at 11 degrees of Scorpio. I haven't looked at this, so this is going to be a surprise to me as well. I'm sure it's going to be a doozy. Usually is. A drowning man is being rescued. You can't make this shit up, right? The deep concern of social group for the safety of individuals. Humanitarianism. Oh, I want to just scream it from the rafters, people. I do. Hello? I know, I'm preaching to the choir, preaching to the choir. So here's the initial conjunction, and here is the last of 5 last quarter squares between Eris and Pluto, right? This started in 1756. Here we are in 2021. And here we have the square. We have Pluto here, and we have Eris here. Okay, this is the last one of 5. We had 3 in 2020 and 2 in 2021. What else do we have here? And we have Mars and the Sun together. Was it Mars and the Sun together for that, what do you call? For the initial conjunction? And we have Vesta close to that initial conjunction, Jupiter. focusing on the knowledge. Okay, last thing we're going to talk about, and then I'm going to let you go, is Saturn stationing direct at 7 degrees of Aquarius. The Sabian symbol on 1010, the Sabian symbol for Aquarius, 7 degrees of Aquarius, a child is seen being born out of an egg. Anybody ever hear of Mork from Ork? Nanu Nanu? The emergence of new mutations according to the great rhythms of the cosmos. The announcement of the emergence of global man for the new age. The power of the whole is focused within him in perfect freedom from ancient standards of value based on local conditions. Understanding the past and the knowledge and the wisdom that comes from the past with an eye to the needs and the necessity of the future and a willingness to change. A willingness to change. We can change or we can be changed. I would prefer to change. So that is what I want to share with you all. And thank you so much. Oh, let me do this so you don't have to look at that. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. I hope you find this helpful and illuminating, as I did learning about it myself. And keep your eyes peeled for the next group of days. I'll probably do 10, maybe 10 days, first 10 days, second 10 days, third 10 days. I'll see. There's a lot of things happening, of course. We have the full moon that we haven't looked at, and we have a lot of things moving forward. So we're in for it, guys, but we'll be here together, you and I and everybody else who shares this. Have yourself a great October. Like, subscribe, and remember, we are going to move through this. Do not be afraid. Focus on what you want. Focus on the world you want to see. Do not look at the world that's in front of us necessarily, but we do have to consider where we stand. Find where we stand and visualize something better. Much love, everyone. Namaste.